Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, this amazing stranger from the planet Krypton, the Man of Steel, Superman! Possessing remarkable physical strength and some other random shit, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter Clark Kent, played by discount Tom Welling, David Corenswet. And yes, that is a real, unfortunate name. Back in January, I put Superman on my most anticipated list, hoping that the bright, vibrant colors, practical sets in action, and the casting would make for a more wholesome superhero movie than what we've gotten recently. And with the rough start to the summer I've had personally, I needed this to be good. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Hurry Up Tomorrow was easier to sit through than this shit, and somehow managed to be funnier. But to be fair, there were things that legit made me smile and want to like this movie. The main hope of mine that stayed true was the visual style through its color palette. Compared to Zack Snyder, James Gunn actually knows what saturation is, and more importantly, that audiences want that in our films. Whether it's the amazing practical sets like the Fortress of Solitude, or the obvious but still decent enough looking CGI models of Metropolis or the villain's Superman faces, the color scheme combined with the IMAX aspect ratio makes everything look beautiful and epic in scope. Which is especially important when Supes is up and away kicking ass, and when he does, the amount of times something or someone is thrown through the air or into a building, the imposing threats he's up against, or he's just flying for the hell of it, it's filmed in fluid wide shots that often maneuver with him, making you feel like you're there, and edited with so much energy it instantly brought a smile to my face. The only problem with the action is the other metahumans barely get a chance to look badass on their own. Mr. Terrific does have a fight, but it's filmed in an obnoxious POV shot that obscures the best hits and makes it less awesome. Kind of like that fight in the Suicide Squad where you saw the fight through the helmet. Stop doing that, Gunn, it was never cool to begin with. And the first half had more action altogether, with the set pieces being exhilarating enough to forgive everything wrong with the film, compared to the second half where each twist kind of drags the pace of each fight and reminds you of everything wrong with the film. And I will say, most of the actors do everything they can with the script they were given. David Corenswet sounds like a Letterkenny character, but he does have the everyman charisma and enduring patience that made Christopher Reeve so iconic in what Henry Cavill could have been, where even at the brink of death is willing to make peace with those who have wronged him and put his own life before any innocent person. His final monologue to Lex, while preachy, is the one time Corenswet gets to show how he struggles with the responsibility he gives himself to protect others, but perseveres regardless. And that simplicity is why we like Superman in the first place. Granted, he doesn't really have the physique. My mom keeps complaining that he's too short, but you could make the argument that looking more scrawny helps him blend in as Clark Kent more than those stupid glasses, so I can kind of get behind that. Out of all the side heroes, Edi Gathegi makes the biggest impression as Mr. Terrific, mainly because he actually does something, and while we learn nothing about him, he nails the deadpan mannerisms for his character well enough to seem like an easily irritated but noble hero. Not enough for it to be funny in a deadpan way, but I'll get to that. But my favorite performance in this was hands down Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, who I think portrays him the way most Snyder trolls pretend Jesse Eisenberg did, where when you get down to it, he's just jealous of Superman's power and influence, which doesn't hold up as a motive, especially when several of his mastermind plans fail incredibly easily, or when he actually ruins Superman's reputation, it's because these huge coincidences just fall into his lap, particularly after kidnapping Krypto. Superman just bursts into his office, destroys everything, and threatens him while being recorded on camera. For an investigative journalist, you're a super dumbass. But Holt hits the perfect amount of over-the-top, unlike someone else, where he relishes how much power he has over the world, and honestly, he had the only funny or creepy moments in this. One revolving around a game of Russian roulette that was actually pretty sad, and a bit where he drops a coffee cup just to make his scared subordinates pick it up. That was good. That was the one laugh I got. Again, more on that later. Rachel Brosnahan by no means does a bad job being almost as snarky as the animated version of Lois, and it is refreshing she never gets captured in this, but at the same time, this has to be the most inconsequential version of Lois Lane I've ever seen based on this one fact. I'm not kidding when I say this. Fucking Jimmy does more investigating and reporting than her, and you actually feel sorry for him when you see what a pain in the ass his source is. And yes, the other ones were damsels and sometimes flat-out objects. It was insufferable then, it's insufferable now, but she still reported on the subjects at hand, and honestly, once in a while she was more resourceful than people gave her credit. But hey, at least she had more screen time than Green Lantern number 4, whose Macaulay Culkin haircut makes you wonder what really happened when Harry met Lloyd. And as much as I like Nathan Fillion, it's not enough to make me wonder why he wanted to keep the haircut, and as much as I thought he could make Green Lantern a cool character, he's stuck playing someone who's way too obnoxious to even love to hate, and it doesn't help we don't know enough about him to understand why he's such an egotistical superhero. Then again, the Justice Gang gets almost fuck all to do in this. Isabela Merced as Hawkgirl screams like a hawk once or twice and calls Guy Gardner an idiot. Jonathan and Martha Kent barely do anything, with Jonathan having the one touching moment in the film about what a parent's role really means for their children, but aside from that, they're just there to have funny Kansas accents. There are these weird Superman robots played by Alan Tudyk, Pom Klementieff, James Gunn's wife, and Michael Rooker who do fuck all. Frank Grillo's Rick Flag is a glorified cameo. Poor Wendell Pierce, even by the Perry White standards of doing jack shit, he really does jack shit. And this one girl called the Engineer was such a screwed over henchwoman with cool powers just put to waste. Meanwhile, we get way too much of Crypto being such an annoying and stupid dog who causes more damage than actual superhero shit, like injuring Superman, playing tug-of-war with his cape, destroying Mr. Terrific's gadgets just because they look like balls. It's pretty much that Jeff Dunham routine where if he sniffs your crotch, it'll suck your lungs out of your ass, but oh, he's so cute, you're not supposed to care. I fucking care, like he's the super dog, have him do super shit. Don't make him into just a fucking mascot. Or Lex Luthor's girlfriend who, for fuck's sake, is constantly taking selfies during his criminal activities, cause yeah, Lex Luthor, criminal mastermind, would let any of that shit happen on camera. Ugh. And these two characters pretty much sum up why this movie drove me up a fucking wall. There are way too many fucking jokes that are so lazy, unfunny, and placed in the most awkward, inappropriate times where it should be a dramatic moment or give us any character development whatsoever. But when Clark and Lois are debating his actions interfering with foreign affairs, and they change the subject to talk about people hashtagging super shit, or the Suicide Squad monsters in the background being fought by Green Lantern with a rubber bat, when Metropolis is being evacuated and we cut to an old lady carrying a turtle in a tank, or Mr. Terrific's garage door taking the movie's runtime to fucking open, I seriously asked myself, did Taika Waititi or AI write this? Because this was on a Love and Thunder level of so fucking annoying, I low-key flipped off the screen multiple times in my theater. I wanted to scream, shut the fuck up, so many times. And if you were in the theater with their laughing, if none of this shit bothers you, if it's your cup of tea, I'm not gonna pretend I don't laugh at easy shit sometimes. If you liked it, good for you, but fuck me, this Marvel style of comedy is just so fucking old and lazy and repetitive, and such an insult to intelligence. Like, we can do so much better with comedy than this shit. I wouldn't be so mad if, like I said, we knew anything about these characters, or the film didn't take itself so seriously. But there is a subplot about two countries at war that could be taken as allegory for either Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East, or all of it combined, and whatever your opinions are on those real-life subjects. In a fictional movie where everything stops to a halt for Lex Luthor to advertise donuts to his accomplices, or literally have a team of monkeys making anti-Superman social media posts. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Why don't you just walk up to me with the Bart Simpson megaphones and explain the symbolism there? God! James Gunn, how fucking stupid do you think your audience is? Not only is this really jarring every time the tone shifts, while the idea of a superhero interjecting and stopping the invaders is noble, when you apply that logic to real-life current affairs and expect to be taken seriously, that's a fucking stupid and dangerous thing to do. You're a filmmaker. A filmmaker with the sense of humor of a Disney Channel original movie, Gunn. Don't try to be anything else. I could go on and on about the fact that honestly, watching this movie was like watching Dune Part 2 without seeing the first one, in that there are so many details that are glanced over, a ton of lazy exposition about how long Superman has been fighting crime, what the government's doing about this, who are these other characters, who else knows Clark Kent's identity, among so much other random bullshit. But I've already strained my voice ranting about the things I hated in this, that I don't want to risk it. And besides, I didn't go into this expecting a complex story. I didn't even want it to make sense. I just wanted it to be fun. I wanted there to be lots of badass action, likable characters, great performances, and in spurts we got a little bit of that, but James Gunn needs to get out of his own fucking way, stop trying to be a comedian, because honestly, this is Adam Sandler levels of stale and repetitive, and just tell a good, likable story. That's all I got. Look, Superman's overrated. If you like it, good for you. I wish I had. And I also wish I need a drink. I'm gonna get one. Bye.